so much, God bless. Thank you so much. 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 That's good. That's good. How y'all doing this morning? You know, I'd like to thank y'all for that very warm standing ovation welcome. Most of you probably noticed that nobody stood. So piss on you people. I'm not running for office anymore. Obviously Hillary is. I don't really care whether you're happy to have me here or not. I've got a very nice government pension. Y'all are paying for it. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, the honest goodness truth is, I didn't know this morning what was going to happen. I mean, I woke up the usual way and I went back home. And then when I got there, you know, they said, hey, we got to hurry up and get on a plane and run out to Chicago and see these people with PMI. And I said, okay, I don't really know what that means. I mean, at PMI, that's what like people pay when they can't afford their mortgage. But sooner or later, the rest of these people are going to get this shit too, you know what I'm saying? I'm supposed to be honest with you, though, I've really enjoyed the idea of being here. I mean, this is such a wonderful, amazing opportunity to be with a group of people that I believe so much in, a group that I care so much about. And I got to be honest, I don't even know what you do. But I appreciate those people because they are the reason I'm here. They're paying me a lot of money. There's been a lot of critics in my career. You guys have heard some of it. You know, people say, Bill, you're a sellout. You'll take money from anybody. You'll say anything just as long as they give you a contribution. Yep. With that in mind, I'd like to thank my good friends at Delta Faucet. How you doing, Delta? Fall Fatten? Oh, he was the guy that was up here a little while ago, wasn't it? I'd like to also welcome my good friend, this fellow right over here, sitting in the third row. He's so excited to see the former President of the United States. He's been on his phone the entire time. Asshole. But I must say, the honest goodness truth is, I mean, I don't know anything about plumbing, but I am, of all presidents, the one that's laid the most pipe of any of them. And I think we can all agree on that now, can't we? You know what's funny is most people, when the President of the United States says something to them about being on their phone, they get the hint, but not him. We might just put that somewhere with the Secret Service, man. You know what I'm talking about? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say I do appreciate y'all having me here. This is fantastic. I know that some of you are looking around saying, boy, you look pretty good, Bill. You're 70 years old. People have been questioning your health. Truth is, I'm in very good shape. It's Hillary that's a problem. I mean, let's face it, she's got tremendous health problems, and frankly, I think their health care, her problems are probably because of her wardrobe. Have you ever seen a worse dressed woman in your entire life? I mean, if you look at a TV show, the reality show called What Not to Wear, you look it up and it's a picture of Hillary. For God's sakes, France has banned her from going to the beaches. That's how bad she dresses, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just you guys don't get the news where you live. Okay, that's fine. But seriously, I mean, I think that I'm in great shape. Everybody says, hey, you know, you had bypass surgery. Truth is, I'm a vegan. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. I'm a vegan. And George W. Bush was completely confused. He thought that meant I denounced my citizenship. No, I mean, it just means that I eat vegetables a lot now. And it's easy to confuse poor George W. Bush. He's not the smartest tool in the shed, as they say, you know. When he was president, they came in the Oval Office and they said, hey, George W., you know, there's a whole avian flu going on. What are you going to do to avert the avian flu? He says, I'm going to cancel my trips to Avia. I want to tell you something about Hillary, because everybody's concerned. I said, can she be president? Is she healthy enough? Have to help her up steps, for crying out loud. I said, Bill, if she's healthy or not, you should know. If she's unhealthy, you should certainly know. I said, why would I know that? They said, well, she's been complaining of a headache. I said, hell, she's been complaining of a headache for 40 years. Last time she didn't have a headache, we made Chelsea. You know what I'm saying? And I want to tell you something about Chelsea. A lot of people don't understand this. Chelsea's my beloved daughter. I mean, she's a chip off the old block. She started dating this boy about 6 or 10 years ago. And there's Hillary. And Hillary says, all right, Chelsea, I know you're getting serious with this boy, but I want to know the answer. Are you and this boy having sex? And Chelsea says, not according to Dad. Oh, phone boy got off the phone for that one, you know what I'm saying? Now I want to talk to you guys because my good friend Barb Higgins, and we go way back. I mean, 2 peas in a pod. That's why I remembered her name after I saw it written down right there. She sent me a lot of money to come here, you know, with Delta Faucet, and I tell you that my good friends at Delta Faucet. Anyway, she said, would you please talk to these people about events, things that are going on, issues that are sculpting this election? I said, absolutely, I can do that. The Clinton Foundation. Now, we've been under attack a great deal. And I want to just tell you something. This is a great American story. I know we've got some foreigners here. You must understand a great American success story. When we left the White House, we were broke. You heard Hillary say it. Those of you that get the news, which is 20 of you. When we left the White House, we were broke, but you know what? In the vein of every great American comeback story, it only took 3 years of Hillary auctioning off influence at the State Department until we were worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I make a lot of money, actually. I'm not ashamed to say it. I go around and give speeches all over the place. You probably are wondering, you know, for crying out loud, you know, what are you doing here? They didn't pay you $500,000. You're damn straight. Barb Higgins didn't give me $500,000. But I normally get a lot of money to go around giving speeches, and you know everybody says, hey, that's really impressive. But as former presidents go, why doesn't George W. Bush make more money speaking? Because he barely speaks. He can barely talk English. Do you think a paying audience is going to pay to hear words like miscontribulate and nuclear? You guys don't remember a lot of things from the Bush administration either, it looks like. Not exactly what we'd call a smart audience, are they, Barb? And when I say not smart, I'm talking about you specifically, phone boy. I do want to do a shout out when I was talking about the foreigners. I don't know where they are. This Supa guy, is the Supa person here? Where are you, Supa? Welcome to our country. Spend your money and leave, all right? I don't really want to pick on George W. Bush. I understand there's a lot of Republicans in here. I can tell there's several Republicans based on how you dress. But I mean, poor George W. Bush, it was not an easy time. In 2008, he left the White House with an approval rating of 18. And that's people, not percent. George W. Bush has books out. I don't know if you guys have read them. I mean, I've got books out. Trump has books out. Obama has books out. Everybody has books out. The funniest thing is George W. left the White House, and he writes a book called Decision Points. And again, because he's not very intellectual, it's a connect the dots book. But has anybody here read my books? Anybody here? Okay, I've got a book called My Life. How many people have read My Life? Between Hope and History? Well, screw you people is all I can say. I got another book that just came out a couple of years ago called Giving. Anybody seen Giving? It's inspired by Monica. I'll give you guys a second to get that one right there. Anybody read Hillary's book called Hard Choices? I don't blame you. You talk about a printed turd. I mean, for God's sakes, you can't give them things away. The problem is, here's the deal about Hillary. She has to be president. She has no choice but to be president. Her life is so boring, her publisher has paid her money as an advance to not write an autobiography. True story. True story right there. Okay. We're going to move on to the next item on my agenda. And that is to talk to you about things that are sculpting this year's election. Apparently, this is the only news you people are going to have gotten in the year 2016. First off, we're right now facing a terrorism issue. And everybody says, Bill, what should be going on? I mean, what's Hillary going to do? Because there's a lot of debate. Are we going to bring Syrian refugees here and settle them? I think we should. And I'll tell you how we do it. Because everybody says, no, you're going to cause problems. Here's what we do. In South Chicago, they're averaging 4 shootings a day. You know what we do? We bring the Syrian refugees to South Chicago. After 6 weeks, they're going to swim back to Syria for a more peaceful existence. Everybody says, what are we going to do if we close down Guantanamo? Some of you don't realize that's a prison in the Caribbean. Just a little news for you there. If we don't have Guantanamo, how are we going to punish them terrorists? Everybody keeps asking me these questions. Let me tell you what we're going to do. We're going to make them watch the debates. That's punishment. Which brings me, of course, to presidential politics. And I want to go ahead and tell you something. I've been watching the debates. I don't know if you guys have. I've got a little thing called the presidential debate game. What I do is every time CNN answers a question for Hillary, you take a drink. And then every time Donald Trump interrupts, you take a drink. Pretty much by about the half-hour point, you're going to just put it on an IV going right into your vein. You know what I'm saying? And speaking of CNN answering the questions, I don't know this guy from Sloan Valve, but they just told me, they said, if you want to be like Donna Brazile, just go ahead and hit on him. Where's that Pete fella? Are you in here anywhere? I mean, that's got, oh, you're, I got Democrats do have bad taste, don't they? I can't really imagine what that must have felt like to have Donna Brazile groping on you like that. I really don't. Not really a two-man presentation here today, Pete. It's pretty much what we call a one-man presentation here today, all right? Thank you for your input. Now shut up. I want to tell you something. Speaking of presidential politics, this is a funny deal. I mean, they talk about how, CNN is helping out and Donna Brazile helping out Hillary. Let me just tell you, Obama was the original that the media just adored. I mean, they gave me all kinds of hard time back in my, transgressions, which is funny. Donald Trump gets on the debate stage, starts bringing up all my past girlfriends, Jennifer Flowers and Paula Jones and this and this. Everybody's like, are you mad? I'm like, hell, I'm 70 years old. This is like a greatest hits album for me. So anyway, the media loves Obama. I mean, this started back 8 years ago. He comes out of Chicago and it's Obama, Obama. I mean, he's on every channel all the time, all the day. He's basically like a skinny Oprah Winfrey with bigger ears. And they get him on TV all the time. One of the things they did with me, I was on TV once, they were asking me a question. It was me and George W. Bush. They said, you guys are former presidents. Why does the media love this guy so much? I said, I don't know. I said, they even focused on his dog. A year into office, he got a Portuguese water dog. And everybody says, well, that's pretty cute. What do you think, George W.? He says, why couldn't he get an American dog? Like a German Shepherd. Funniest thing is, I do have criticism, I guess, of the Obama administration, because I think we can improve upon it if Hillary's president. You look at some of the great inefficiencies of this administration. I'll give you an example. He's put more people on food stamps than any other U.S. president. 48 million people on food stamps. Feeding them, feeding them, feeding them. And what's Michelle Obama do? She's going around saying the kids are too fat. You guys understand the problem here? He's feeding them, feeding them, feeding them, and she's saying too fat, too fat. And they're like, all right, Bill Clinton, what would you do differently? I tell you what I would do if I was president. Again, I'd cut out the middleman. I'd just feed them fat kids to the skinny kids. You guys can write that down. We got a guy back here taking notes, and this guy's on his computer. That's what's really funny. I haven't said anything that's really worthy of writing down. You know what I'm saying? But thank you for not being on your phone. They told me we got 2 British people, 1 Canadian. And I look over at this guy, the sharpest dressed guy, guy's little handkerchief. You've got to be a foreigner. You're in the plumbing business and an American, and you dress like that? It's a fancy faucet salesman right there, ladies and gentlemen. Now, speaking of foreigners, I believe this is where we have our greatest opportunity. Everybody's talking about Obamacare because it's not efficient. You know what we're going to do to fix Obamacare? It's very simple. I think it's truly time we socialize medicine. I've been saying this for a long time. You want to socialize something, of all things, that's very impersonal? Let's socialize medicine. I want it to be a more social experience. You go see the doctor, you have a drink and a cigar. Let's make it social. After a couple of drinks, you get a sponge bath by one of them candy strippers. But I believe if we're going to fix health care, we should really look to Canada. And I don't know if Supa knows what I'm talking about here. Supa, here's what we're going to do. You guys have socialized health care up north. We don't. We want to fix health care in this country. The easiest thing we can do is batch up our old people on buses and ship them to Canada. I truly believe that's our best opportunity. One of the things that Obama gets a lot of credit for, and I want to make sure that you all understand this, he got a lot of credit for killing Osama bin Laden. And it's true that this was a big problem, but I want to just say something. I was critical of that also. Everybody said, what would you do different? I said, it took him 10 years to track down Osama bin Laden. 10 years. Everyone says, what would you do different? I said, well, if I was president, I would have looked at the country of Pakistan and said, there's one house with electricity. Let's start there. Wouldn't have taken me 10 years. You know, the other thing is, you started to come along on that one now, aren't you? Kind of a late bloomer right there, aren't you? Yeah. I got to tell you what's funny, though, is it took them 10 years and they used the Navy SEALs. And they said, what would you do different, Bill? I said, if I was president, I would not use the Navy SEALs. I would use the most elite unit on earth. A group of men that find the unfindable. The Gideons. Now, many of you are laughing, but I tell you what, have you ever stayed in a hotel that the Gideons haven't found? You want to find Osama bin Laden, you bring in a dozen Gideons. You pull down a map of Asia and you say, we think he's in a Motel 6 somewhere over here in a cave. They'd have found him and give him a Bible. And if the goal was just to shoot him in the face, I said a long time ago, why didn't they just send Osama bin Laden on a bird hunting expedition with Dick Cheney? Obama called me up not too long ago and he said, I'm on my way out. I'm about ready to be done being president. I'm going to be retired. What do you recommend I do, Bill? I said, fly around, give some inflammatory speeches, drink coffee, golf, don't do much. Basically, what you've done for the last 8 years. I do want to cover this because Barb asked me, she says, this is after all the Plumbing Manufacturers International, these people need to know what's going on in world politics. Would you give an overview of this election that's coming up in just 2 short weeks? I said, yes, I believe I can do that. First off, one word sums up this year's election. Boring. Seriously, honest to God, we're talking about Hillary's emails. You need me back in the White House. Because we're not going to be talking about emails, all right? I mean, I'm no Anthony Weiner. Mostly because I don't know how to take a selfie, but other than that, I swear to God, if you guys would tune in to CNN once in a while, this stuff would be hilarious. It really would. And speaking of tuning in to CNN, the media overcoverage of this election is downright, it's reprehensible. Do you realize the moon landing got less press coverage than a Donald Trump rally in Akron gets? It's remarkable to me, all this media stuff, and it just goes on and on and on. I watch it. I'm sure that you guys have tuned out, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you something. Everybody said to me during the first debate, they said, have you had your eye on Melania Trump? Well, hell yes, I have had my... I mean, that's the benefit of being a 1%er. Even your mail order brides are hot. You know what I'm saying? What do you think about that, Pete? Donna Brazil's coming. I will tell you something else about this year's election, and that, of course, is Bernie Sanders. Everybody's saying, what was the biggest changer, the biggest game changer? We had 17 Republicans. For crying out loud, a quarter of this country seemed like it was running on the Republican side. And then just Bernie and Hillary at the end. But that changed everything. Bernie Sanders, think about this. He's so old and crusty and gray, he could be a Republican. His followers are a bunch of unemployed millennials. They love this guy. They did a poll, like 60% of millennials love Bernie Sanders. They live in their basements of their parents' houses, and they smoke weed, and they don't have... I am worried about our country's future. I might be going to Canada, Supa. Big Clam, kind of a neat thing in my opinion. He had that wonderful slogan, feel the burn, feel the burn. And everybody asked me, he says, what do you think about feel the burn? I said, it's a neat slogan, but I was feeling the burn before it was trendy. No, seriously, it was 1978. It took me 3 doses of penicillin to stop feeling the burn. And everybody says, now, are you worried about Donald Trump? Because, I mean, that's the big talk. I mean, you can't turn on TV. You turn it on. 10 seconds, they're talking about Donald Trump. You even flip on Discovery Channel, Animal Planet, Donald Trump comes up. Mostly as it relates to Rosie O'Donnell. But anyway, see, I thought that was funny, to be honest with you. So the thing is, they said, are you worried about Donald Trump? I said, absolutely, I'm worried about Donald Trump. I'm not worried about him because I think he's going to win. I'm worried about him because I think there's something wrong with that dude. He ain't right. All the people saying, is it because he's white? Is that where all this is coming from? Is it because he's white? He's not white, he's orange. And I don't go around picking on immigrants easily. Where's my buddy Fernando Fernandez? You on here, buddy? Yeah, you look different in real life than you do in the pictures. And I mean, let's face it, the great news about Fernando is if the wall does get built, you got here. That's fantastic. I mean, and I don't think anybody here wants to ship you back, but I'll tell you who's going to build a wall if Trump gets elected. Supa is going to build the wall. And then Donald Trump is allegedly worth $9 billion. My question is, if you got $9 billion, for God's sakes, man, do something with that hair. I mean, it's just almost disgraceful. Let's talk also about this important thing, about his relationships with women. It's been coming up, you know, that's all over the news. And Megyn Kelly and him on Fox News, you know, they got into it. And, you know, she was saying bad things about him. And Donald Trump has a knack for always saying the wrong thing. You know, and then it's like, hey, Megyn Kelly says this, what's your response? And Donald Trump says, pardon me, we can't all be as charming as Bill Cosby. The truth is, they asked him if he's misogynistic. They said, all right, are you misogynistic? And you know what, he has his answer. And then they said, George W. Bush, this is the guy that's trying to be Republican. Is Donald Trump a misogynist? He says, I will not fault a man who likes a good back rub. I like a good Swedish misogyny once in a while myself. I don't know. People have been asking me, they say there's odds makers, there's polls. Is there a chance that Donald Trump can become president? And up until this week, I would have said absolutely no chance. Hell would have to freeze over. There's no way it could ever happen. And then the Cubs make the World Series, and it makes you think anything is possible. Oh, we can do worse than that, for crying out loud. Isn't that funny about Chicago people? We go over here and bash on poor Fernando that he's not going to be able to work in this country, and you pick on a Cubs fan, and they all get worked up. And here's something else about my buddy Fernando Fernandez, and he knows this. Donald Trump needs to be rich. Because the way he's pissed off all the foreigners, he's going to be paying full price for landscaping the rest of his life. Now, let's talk about Hillary, because I know that many of you want to talk about Hillary. She is actually leading in all polls except for one, which makes you think, you know, in George W. Bush vernacular, do not misunderestimate Hillary. Everybody says, is Hillary a natural politician? Some people say she's not. I say she is. I'll tell you why. Do you realize how hard it is to run for higher office for 3 decades, pretending the whole time you're not running for higher office for 3 decades? She's been trying to be president forever. Clear back in the old days in upstate New York, you know, they were talking about her being senator, they were talking about her being president. The Democratic Party of New York printed up bumper stickers that said, run, Hillary, run. Republicans put them on the front bumper. And God knows if you've ever seen Hillary run, you wouldn't want to see it twice, all right? I would tell you something about Hillary and why she's going to win. She's going to win because of the Colorado theorem. That's the reason she's going to win. You're saying, what's the Colorado theorem, Bill? I'll tell you what the Colorado theorem is. We're going to go to Colorado, Washington, Maine, all of these states that have legalized or are about to legalize marijuana usage. And I'll tell you why we're going to win them states. Republicans will never win them because in the history of Stonerville, no stoner ever woke up early in the morning, went to work, saved his money, and went to church and voted Republican. That's why we're going to win them states. I know about smoking pot, folks. Everybody says, you invented the smoking pot, but you said I did not inhale. How in the hell else do you think I ended up married to Hillary? And speaking of marijuana, Obama's daughter, Malia, anybody see this? It was a couple months ago. That's right, you guys have never seen a television news broadcast in your lives. The plumbing industry must be so excited you can't read the newspaper. Jesus, think of how terrible that must be. I feel bad for you, Pete, I really do. To think that Donna Brazile hitting on you was the highlight of your life. If there had only been a recording of it with Billy Bush, we might make you famous right now. Obama's daughter, it was just this summer, got caught smoking marijuana. And everybody says, does this mean she's going to be like Obama? Is she going to be a famous politician because he smoked marijuana? I said, you know what, maybe. But if she can just learn to tear up bathrooms in foreign countries, she might be an Olympian. Yeah, even the British lady didn't get that one. I don't know. Everybody's saying, what's going to happen? Are you going to get Hillary elected? Because I'm basically her pinch man. I'm her designated hitter, if you will. I'm her helper. I'm her designated personality. I'm the guy that knows about foreign affairs. And I did pretty good with domestic, too. I'm basically pinching 9 innings for her, you know what I'm saying? But everybody says, what are you going to be if Hillary's elected? I'm going to be the first man. If Hillary's the president, I will be first man. Everybody says, what are you going to do? I said, not much. Walk around in my underpants, say stupid stuff, be an embarrassment, basically be the new Joe Biden. I'm going to look to historic examples like Jackie Kennedy and Betty Ford. I'm going to give school children tours. I'm going to hide my alcoholism from the general public. You know, screw you people. That's a good Betty Ford reference right there. Worst thing about being president or vice president or first man is when you have to go to foreign affairs that you don't care about. Well, when you're the first man, you're basically going to be going to state funerals for like the Polish Secretary of Education. Who gives a damn, right? I mean, you know how hard it is to pretend you care when you really aren't interested. I mean, well, it's like coming to one of these conferences right here. You understand what I'm talking about. It's like when Paul Patton gets up and talks, acting like you're interested. I like Paul. When that $100,000 check from Delta Faucet came in, I liked Paul a lot more than I thought I did. And one thing they asked me to do here, the good people of Plumbing Manufacturers International, an organization that I've stood by for decades. I mean, I use the plumbing, and I believe in what you people do. But since you're an international organization, and that is to say you have 150 people and 3 of them are from somewhere else, that's a very international showing. You guys should consider maybe helping these other countries get plumbing, and then they'd have a reason to come to your association. They asked me to talk about international affairs, and I'll tell you something, this is not my strength. I'm still better than Gary Johnson. That's the Libertarian presidential candidate who didn't know where Aleppo was. But I got to be honest with you, they fooled me on that question. They said, you know, Aleppo, and I thought, hell, is this some new disease? I mean, I started looking through my mental inventory. I'm like, Aleppo, is that canned dog food that Lauren Green used to endorse? But I have gotten better about this whole international thing. That's why I founded the Clinton Global Initiative. Which the truth is, when I founded the Clinton Global Initiative, it was just kind of a little thing. Me and my buddies were sitting around drinking, playing cards, And I said, what if we form a tax-deductible way for me to tag chicks from other countries? It was truly a global initiative. And I've crossed off 26 of the European Union countries, still haven't picked up Liechtenstein. And wouldn't you think a principality named Liechtenstein would have easy women? The goal of the Clinton Global Initiative, to be honest with you, is to bring impoverished nations up to our level, to give them things like plumbing. And if that's not possible, let's at least bring them up to the level of, say, Mississippi or West Virginia. I want to talk to you about the international issues, though, beyond the Clinton Global Initiative. I want to talk to you about countries that truly threaten us right now. I'm talking about places like Iran. Ladies and gentlemen, are there any Iranians in here? Oh, geez, really? I didn't think they let them people out. Well, here's the problem with Iran. You know what I'm talking about. Your country is run by a nutball. You guys know this little fellow that runs Iran? His name's like Arachnajob or something like this. And he runs around, his biggest thing is, he goes to the United Nations, he says the reason Iran is superior is because there's no gay people in Iran. That's his big thing, which means I understand now why they wear turbans. They ain't got any hairdressers. You guys can extrapolate on that one just a little bit. And then there's North Korea, which is run by a little fat rich kid that was put in power by his daddy. He's like the Korean Teddy Kennedy. I mean, he's a better driver. So at least 25 years ago, you guys watched the news. That's good. The thing is, they asked Donald Trump his thoughts about this whole deal. And they said, what do you think about Korea, Donald Trump? Are you worried? And he said, I know everything about North Korea. I know everything about South Korea. I know everything about Korea. I've watched every MASH episode. I mean, think about that. Funny thing is, Trump ought to just buy North Korea. He ain't going to win here. And clearly, they don't care who their leaders are. But it brings me to Russia, which is the biggest concern, in my opinion, of presidential politics, is what's going to happen with Russia. It's like, here's Vladimir Putin, who's a badass ex-KGB guy and a neighborhood organizer. I used to kill people and blow up people in like third world countries. I got petitions from people on the south side of Chicago. I mean, think about that. I mean, it's a problem, right? Everybody says, can Hillary stand up to Vladimir Putin? Is she tough enough? He has tortured people. Well, I've been around Hillary for 40 years. Let me tell you, it's torture. One of the other things I was asked to do by my friend Barb Higgins with your organization, she said, would you take questions from these people? And I said, I will absolutely do so. I will now take any question of a non-mathematical, non-technical, non-mean-spirited, non-controversial issue. Just raise your hand. We've got a couple of microphones. I'd like to hear from you because they asked me to do this. We'll lead off here with my good friend Paul.
Mr. Clinton, do you keep up with the trending political news on social media?
You know, I really don't, Paul. I'll be honest with you. Clearly, I keep up better than many people. But I must say, I really don't. I mean, social media, because I'm 70 years old now, is a little bit of a challenge. I mean, how do you sound tough when you tell people you tweeted it out? You know, when your girlfriend farts, she tweeted it out. I'll be honest, I joined, you guys are probably all on LinkedIn, professional association, right? Professional. I joined LinkedIn by accident. I thought it was an online sausage club. Let you think on that one for a minute too. I got time for a few more questions. What's going on? Oh, right back here, we'll take this guy. Yes, sir. This guy's been on his computer the whole time I've been up here.
Mr. President, how are things at the Clinton Library?
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm very proud of what we did there. I did something no politician or no president has ever attempted or accomplished. We built a library in Arkansas. Some of you didn't get that. I just said two words you've never heard in the same sentence before in your life. But the thing is, we opened up and our critics were there. They said, oh my God, your library looks like a double wide on stilts. You've got to fit in architecturally with the surroundings, ladies and gentlemen. And if we didn't have enough critics and people against what we were doing there, the first week we were open, we had a thief break in and steal our book. I got time for another question. Right down here we got one, ma'am. I think we still have one right down here. Thank you.
Sir, if you were still president, how would you handle the threats and the problems facing our country today?
If I was president right now, with all that we got going on, we've got the issues with terrorism, we've got the problems with Korea and an unstabilizing, destabilizing Russia, we've got economic issues between here and Europe. If I was president today, I'd be drunker than a monkey. You're laughing, I was drunk half the time anyway. Hell, I'm drunk right now. Next question. Yes, sir, right here.
Mr. Clinton, as first gentleman, you need to pet calls. What do you think your pet calls will be?
You know, I got to be honest with you, I don't care that much. Next question. We got time for one more? Right down here we got one. Oh, my buddy Fernando. La cucaracha, la cucaracha. That's right. I love Fernando. I mean, he and I, we don't know each other, but we're going to get there.
Mr. Clinton, I have another question for you. Some of your critics have mentioned you routinely lack an understanding of family values. How would you respond to that?
I will admit, as a younger man, I did not fully appreciate the value of a family. But as I've aged and as Hillary has taken on some health concerns, I met with my insurance agent. We have now a family value of Hillary for $10 million. I mean, I stand very firmly right behind Hillary on family values. I mean, when we're next to railings and high places, I'm right behind Hillary on family values. I mean, you got to have a backup plan. Next question. My girlfriend Barb back there is going to ask. And by the way, she's leaving after 18 years, Barb. She's going to come and visit me, and we're going to have meetings on airplanes in Phoenix. It's just one of them things we're going to do. Anyway, go ahead, Barb.
Mr. Clinton, as a young presidential candidate, you were once asked boxers or briefs. Nowadays, how would you answer that question?
That's a true question. In the old days, I was asked that question, but I tell you what, with all my problems I've had, if they say boxers or briefs now, I say depends. I got to tell you, you know, the older I get, when they were talking about WikiLeaks, I thought, yes, WikiLeaks. Dribbles, in fact. All right, I got to tell you, I think we've had enough questions, and I really appreciate Barb asking that. I mean, and she knows what kind of underwear I wear. And Trey's okay with it. I mean, let's face it. We've got a lot of history together. Ladies and gentlemen, I was going to close out with some brilliant, inspirational statement for you, but it dawned on me that I don't have any. The only thing they asked me to do when Barb and I talked about this, she says, talk about whatever you want, but please talk about election, current events, and things like that generally will go over the head of my membership. And she said, don't give any long-winded, sleepy-sounding political speeches that are too technical, because if we wanted that, we'd just have Paul Patton talk. But I must say, I appreciate being here. So I tried to come up with some sort of a slogan that I thought maybe I could close you out with. As Plumbing Manufacturers International. And I must say I've enjoyed this. I know that some of you maybe didn't like some of my stances on certain issues. Some of you didn't like me at all. But I don't particularly care for you either, you son of a bitch. And I can say that. I did just say that. Anyway, I very much appreciate y'all having me here. I want great things for Plumbing Manufacturers International. I truly do. You know what I'm going to go out with? I think this is the year that you people make plumbing great again. Thank you very much for having me. God bless y'all. Let's go out here. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. God, that's right. Go over here. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Couldn't have done it without you. Thank you very much. Here, thank you so much.
Amigo.
You got the sombrero? You got the sombrero? Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you very much. See you. Thank you.